Keep singing, guys.
You have to leave her behind for the good of the pack.
Okay. All right. She'll just have to watch it later because she can't find the invite, and that's unfortunate. But anyway, I'm going to use the paper and then periodically guilt you about the easel that I had to walk across campus to get. And I want you to tell me what diagnostic is for the Niphal strong verb, for the perfect.
It's a nun harek pathak.
Yeah, it's Niphal.
It is Niphal. Where does the pathak go?
It goes under the is it the stem consonant, the second consonant?
Stem consonant.
Okay. So
Can I make this
like that?
It's really choppy. Really quick, if you guys aren't using video because for whatever reason, maybe shut your video off to save bandwidth for the Hangout. That way, it's not choppy. So there you go, and Brandon.
So everybody's
So that
video
way,
off except mine. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that way it's not choppy anymore.
Is that what
Sorry,
makes
go
it
on.
choppy?
It's part of it.
Okay. Okay, then I can just look at your pictures. But that means you guys have to speak because I can't read your facial expressions through their tiny little things at the bottom.
Sometimes that's better.
You totally can read my facial expression. Look at that.
It's not better because you guys don't ever say everything that you're thinking.
I'm holding a skull. What more do you want from me?
All right. I just want you to talk about what you're thinking. Don't make me make this into a counseling session, but I will. Imperfect. Diagnostic. What is it? For Niphal.
Yo's correct with a doggish and a comments.
Like that?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. And what's the imperfect one?
Everything that you just did, but just replace the yod with the hey.
Okay. Oops. Like that? And what is the infinitive construct?
Same.
The same. You guys are so good at this.
I think I might be best.
What about the infinitive absolute?
There's two of them.
There are two of them.
Trick question.
Give me one option first.
And a nun with a hirek, and then
Hold
a
on.
hole and bob after the second square or circle.
Okay. So there's one option. What's the second option?
Take the infinitive construct one and recreate it with a hole and bob after the second square.
Okay. Like that?
I like it.
Okay. Then what's the participle?
Nun hirek with comments after the vowel there. Like the one above instead of patek.
Like the perfect.
Yeah, it's the second consonant.
Second consonant, so it's like the perfect.
Yeah,
So
that's what I say.
Where is it? There it is.
What did I say?
Like
What did I
that?
say? Yeah,
Okay.
that's the ticket.
Okay, so you have to always remember those ones because they're going to inform all of the weak ones that you have to learn. And so, did you guys look at this chapter at all yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Then, for the rest of the weak verbs, it's kind of similar to in the Cal, you don't necessarily need to be able to reproduce the whole paradigm or the whole diagnostic sheet for all of these weak verbs, but you are going to need to know them well enough to be able to parse and know them well
What does
enough to
that
be able to
mean?
answer questions. What?
What does that mean? So I don't have to know them, but I have to know them well enough to know them. Okay, I got it. Makes sense.
It sounds like you have it. I don't know what else you want me to explain there.
No, it's good. Perfect.
What I mean is you have to know them. You don't have to know them in the form of these diagnostic paradigms. You don't have to reproduce them that way. And I think that's what Dr. Petter means too when she says that. But you do have to know them well enough to be able to answer questions about the way that they change. The vowels change with the gutturals and things like that, and you have to know them well enough to be able to parse without getting confused with all of the changes. So if that means that you have to learn it like a paradigm, then you do. What?
I said if only there were a helpful chart then to memorize those things. Oh,
Hey,
there
I
is.
can help you make up a chart to memorize those things.
I bet.
Okay, let's do that. So the first one that you have is on page 299, and it's the third aleph. I wouldn't memorize that one.
Too late.
I mean, you can, but I wouldn't if I were you, just because the only thing that's different is the commas underneath the second consonant in the perfect instead of a pathak.
Okay.
And so all that you need to be aware of with a third aleph verb is that the perfect, the Cal perfect, not sorry, the Niphal perfect 3ms and the Niphal participle will look the same. And so you need context to be able to tell which is which. But other than that, it follows the same diagnostics as the strong.
Cool.
Okay, so you could memorize it and put it in a little chart like this, and you could put it next to the strong so that you can see the differences. But there are a lot of ones that have a lot more differences than that, and so I would spend more time on the ones that are more different than the ones that are the same. And the third hey one is the next one. This one is kind of your preference, whether you would want to memorize that whole diagnostic sheet or not, because the diagnostics themselves, like just these, the consonants and the vowels in the front that tell you that it's Niphal, those don't change. What looks different is the ending because of the third hey, and it just takes on all of the options for third hey endings. And if you look at page 301, they're telling you all of the diagnostic endings for third hey for all of the verb stems, so it's not just the Niphal. So you could learn that. Do you guys see it?
Yep.
Right there. You could learn that, but that would be another thing that you have to learn. Or you can just look at the diagnostic sheet, diagnostics, and put it into a chart for yourself and pay attention to the hey endings, because that is really where most of the changes are, not in the diagnostics themselves. So how would you rather learn that one? Hey, Sharon.
Don't you, if you learn the diagnostic like a paradigm, won't you then by proxy be getting the third hey endings for the future?
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
You could do that. So then I didn't write it down. So this one I'm going to do on the board.
Mr. Ron, we're saving bandwidth by turning off our video. We don't really have any to go. It'll make the video will run smoother.
Okay.
Can you see her do that? Not that I don't like seeing you. You're very nice, but just saying. There you go. It's a lovely picture.
Yeah, cute picture.
Thank you.
That was just so I could hang out with our shirts off.
You can.
We are.
I thought it was so cold and uncomfortable in Florida.
Well, we're inside.
Oh, okay. All right.
No.
Can you see that? You can see it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. These boxes are really only going to be helpful if you put it next to the strong paradigms that you just learned, because that way you're going to be able to see the differences. If you can't see the differences, then it's going to be a lot more difficult to keep it straight in your head. So try and put everything side by side on one sheet, like that thing that was in the email that I sent earlier. That's really helpful. So how does the diagnostic change for the third hay then, for the perfect? You can definitely turn to page 300 and just read me the answers if you need to.
There's two of them.
Yeah.
They both start with known, correct. The first one has an ending of a comet's hay. Second one has an ending of a Sere, Yod, Tau, comets, with an accent over the last consonant. Down. Yeah, that's right. Good job, Greg. Thanks, guys. Anytime.
So like that? With the accent, right?
With accent, yeah.
There.
That's what I'd do.
Okay. So the other thing that I would look at, if you look down that list on page 300, it's really any of the endings that you know from the Cal Perfect that have the tau in it, or basically aren't ending with a hay. They're the ones that have the Sere Yod instead of the commons hay. So you would need to know your Cal paradigm of the perfect to be able to correctly put the Sere Yod where it goes in that diagnostic. But you're not going to have to ever do a Niphal perfect Niphal perfect paradigm. You're just going to need to be able to parse it and be able to recognize it and answer grammatical questions about them. Okay?
Good.
Grammatical questions.
Grammatical questions. They tend to show up on like the second or third page of all of your quizzes.
I don't know what you mean.
I'll show you. How about imperfect? What's the diagnostic for imperfect? It's also on page 300 where all the answers are for these questions.
I did a bunch. Someone else go.
It's the, well, I always put the yod there, the hirek, the dagesh, and kamatz.
Yeah, and then what's the grade ending that tells you that it's third hay? What's that?
Segal hay.
Memorize all of them. Because I'm not playing it around anymore.
Yeah, there you go, man. Tear it up.
It's not.
That's what I did for Greek. I was so angry.
Can you see that where these are? That's telling you that the hay itself is dropping off.
Yeah.
That's part of the third hay
Be
verb,
replaced by hay.
but these are the endings. So that there's a hay ending, but it's not the hay of, for, I mean, this example has always been not. It's not the hay that's in Bana, it's the hay of the ending.
Got it.
Okay? So what's the imperative?
Hey, Harek, Dagash, Kanats.
And what's the ending?
Sire, hey.
So like that.
Yeah.
Yay! Now we'll do the other three. Oh, I don't have an eraser. Yes, I do. Hold on. Oh. Okay, what about infinitive construct?
Hey, correct.
Yes.
Doggish, come on.
Good job tag teaming.
Way to piggyback, Brandon.
I finally realized my microphone wasn't plugged in. That's why y'all couldn't hear me. I've been screaming at you.
Oh, I'm glad you figured that out. That would have been
Bingo.
frustrating. What's the ending?
Oh, involved town.
Oath.
Mm-hmm. How about infinitive absolute? You have two options. Give me one of them.
Noon, correct. Shua.
Where does the schwa go?
Under the first consonant.
Okay, you can put that there. It's not technically part of the diagnostic itself, but if you need it there to give you a visual, then definitely put it there.
Okay.
What about the ending for that one?
Holam and hey.
What's the other option?
Hey, correct. Dagish Kamats.
Mm-hmm.
Seer hey. Bless you.
Thanks, guys.
So like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what's the participle?
The noon Hirek.
And what's the ending?
Sego hey.
So the participle ending and the perfect ending, at least the option that has the comma hey, you need to pay special attention to those because they'll look pretty much the same except for those vowels. Just either the segel or the comments are going to be the things that are going to tell you if you're dealing with perfect or with participle. So I would fill out those sheets with all of the boxes on them and fill them out as many times as you need to so that you have them memorized. And I would just plan on reproducing that whole thing for your quiz. Unless you think you can do it all in your head, in which case, awesome.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any questions about the third hey ones? Are there any ones that are confusing?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Then the other one will be faster. This way. The next one is the first gutturals, and these look a lot different. The vowels change a whole lot, and so this one I would definitely memorize the whole thing and just plan on writing it down because you'll have to be able to parse these and you could potentially have a grammatical question about how the vowels change when you have a one. What I mean, well, fill this out first and then I'll tell you what I mean. So for the Niphal perfect one guttural, what is the diagnostic? And if you want to go on page 302 and read it out to me, then I'll write it down.
It starts with the noon segel. All right. No, right.
Noon, then what?
Then that segel with the thing on it.
The noon has, what does the noon have underneath it?
Segel.
Okay, and then what?
And the next word, this consonant, has the segel with the thing on it.
The segel with the thing. The segel with the schwa.
Yeah, it could be that.
It can be that. And then what's the next one?
The patak.
So it looks like this. It's just a whole bunch of dots.
There's like a lot of dots.
A lot of dots. Like that. Compare it to the strong one. Look at where all of the dots go. They just multiply. Okay. So then tell me what the imperfect is for the one guttural. It's on that same page.
Siri.
Come on.
Max.
Yeah. So it looks like that. Do you know why it's changing from a Hurek to a Sarai?
Because the guttural rejects the dagesh.
Right. The guttural rejects the dagesh, and so it's kind of like the dagesh is just moving over down next to the Hurek, so it looks like a Sarai now. How about the imperative? Sorry, that's really...
Hey, Siri, come on.
Yeah. And before I show you this one, what about infinitive construct?
It's gonna look a lot like that one.
You're right. Almost identical.
Almost.
So they look, where are they? They look like that. Then tell me what the infinitive absolutes look like for the one guttural. And there's two options, so someone give me one. Don't put them all together because that's too many vowels.
Noon patak.
Yeah. That goes in front of it. What goes underneath the first?
Hatat patat,
Yeah.
and then a whole bop.
Okay. What's the second option?
Hey, Siri, Kamat, Holombaf.
So it looks like this. And that's what it looks like next to the strong one. Notice the differences. And what about the participle?
It's like the perfect with a commas instead of a patak,
Yes.
which is a theme.
It is a theme. Always look for themes. It's like a story. So it looks like this. Here it is. Can you see that? Yes, sort of. You can see it if I keep talking.
Yeah, if you keep talking.
All right, I'm really not good at that. So that's what they look like. So then if you were given a question, if you have that in front of you and you've written down your strong diagnostics, and then you wrote down your first guttural diagnostics, then a question like, what happens to Niphal 1 guts in the perfect and the participle? How would you think you would answer that?
Say that one more time.
You have a Niphal 1 gut, and you have a perfect and or you have a participle. What happens to, what's the change that happens in the prefix?
The HIREC changes to a sigil under the noon.
Right. So that would be an example of a grammatical question that you would have about the changes in the vowels, as opposed to being asked to actually write all of this out for credit.
I prefer the other.
I mean, you would probably still need to write it out in order to be able to answer that kind of a question, because I would have a hard time remembering all of that in my head.
Or to parse them later on.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
But if you use that really cool chart and you just practice writing it over and over again, you'll have memorized all of the dots. All the dots. And you'll be so happy about it at some point. How about first noon? Have you looked at that yet?
Yeah.
Okay, before we write anything down, just look at the stuff that's on page 303. What happens to the noon in a first noon verb when you're putting the prefixes on it?
If there are prefixes that are already noons, then the other noon goes away and a dagesh pops up.
Mm-hmm. Where does the dagesh pop up?
In the first square.
Yeah. And what would you call that? Like when the noon does that, what's that called?
Obnoxious.
Disappearing noon.
Yeah, it's both of those things, but there's another word that you could use. You could use it in tandem with those other two words.
Assimilation.
Yes, assimilation. Don't forget the assimilation word. You can use the other words, but make sure you include assimilation.
Tomorrow too.
Okay. So how about you tell me what the diagnostics are for the first noon then? For the perfect. It's on page 303.
Noon,
All the
HIREC.
answers.
Exactly the same, except for the back and the commands.
Yeah, you're losing that.
What did you say?
That's perfect. I was just saying it's exactly the same as the perfect. You just have to realize you're losing the first consonant. All
Right.
the diagnostics.
Mm-hmm. So it kind of looks like this.
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Right there. There. And I'm just going to keep talking so you can see it for a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Then how about imperfect? The answers are still on page 203.
Come on.
So like that.
The first gun rules is kind of a real big deal.
Can you see it?
Big difference, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I see it. It's
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Stop talking.
All right. How about imperative?
Hey,
Usually they're
Iraq, doubling dot, and the commas. Or the
pretty strong. So the same as a strong, except for the places where there's a noon, right?
Pretty much.
No, the infinite absolute's a little
Yes,
weird too.
Yeah. So the imperative is the same and the infinitive construct is the same. And the noon is going to be there for those ones. So then what about the infinitive absolute? You have two options. Give me the first one.
The one that starts with a hey, that's going to look the same as the strong, except there's no hole involved, just for funsies.
Right. There is no hole involved. What's there instead?
Nothing? A sere?
Yeah, there's a sere there. It's not anything that's diagnostic, but if you wanted,
I don't.
okay, then don't.
I mean, there's
There's just no hole involved.
the whole involved needs to be in an infinite absolute. It just does.
It does
What's wrong with it?
normally, except for this particular instance where it doesn't. Helpful?
No, but thank you.
Well, I tried. But we can do the other one. What's the other one look like? And then you feel free to put the hole involved there.
I would love to put the nun in Iraq with the whole involved.
Mm-hmm.
Can I
Yes.
ask a question?
Yes.
Let's say if we get this on a parsing on a quiz, do we have to realize that because it's a first noon, it can be either an imperative infinitive construct or an infinitive absolute? Do you have to write all three of those on the quiz, or?
No, you don't need to write all three. You need to tell me which one you want it to be.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. The only other thing that you would need to be aware of is sometimes now she's giving you little sections to translate and then asking you to parse the verb. So you would need to use that context to decide if it is the infinitive construct, the imperative, or the infinitive absolute.
Okay.
Okay. But other than that, if it's just this that has three options, just give one of them and you'll get it right.
Okay.
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 How about the participle for the first noon? What is that?
Assimilated noon with a heric and a comet.
So it's the same difference between the participle and the perfect as it is in pretty much all the other ones. Okay. And then the last one that is a big change is the first yod. And the way to it is a big change, but it's kind of easy to recognize because it's like the squiggly yod at the top straightened out and came down like a vav, and then it either is eating a cookie or reaching for a cookie. Okay?
Say what now?
You didn't get that?
Negative.
What work? Trying to figure that one out.
So are we reaching for the cookie, the squiggly thing at the? Yeah, you are.
Yeah. There's cookies and squiggly things. So, like, if you have...
Sounds like my childhood.
I love childhood. If you have Yeshav, you see that right there? That yod is going to go away, and it's going to straighten out and turn into a vav in all of these Niphal forms. And so it's either going to be a Holenvav, where the cookie is above it, or it's going to be a Shurek, where it's already eaten the cookie.
Lord Jesus.
So this is on page 304, and once you write them all down, you're going to completely understand what I'm saying. So what is the diagnostic for perfect first yod?
Reaching.
It is.
Noon Holenvav Pata.
Oh. Yeah, now I want white out. I'll just do this. So it looks like that.
Yeah, it's Noah.
Mm-hmm. Reaching for a cookie. How about imperfect?
It's gonna be a Shurek.
Yeah.
Well, Yod Shurek, because it's got that same beginning part.
Right. And then a comma's underneath it.
No, it's
Kind of
underneath.
similar to all of the rest of the imperfects that you've learned in the Niphal. So it looks like that.
Yeah, it looks like that.
How about the imperative then? And the infinitive construct?
That would be a Hay with a Hirek and a Shurek.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And what's underneath the Shurek?
Comments.
Mm-hmm. And that's the same for the infinitive construct, right?
The same.
The same. So it looks like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's no infinitive absolutes in the Niphal that are first yods, so you don't have to worry about them at all.
Sweet.
You just need to know the participle. So what's the participle?
Same as the perfect with the comments.
So it'll look like that. See? There.
Where's the cookie?
The cookie is a little dot.
I know. I don't see it on that. Okay.
You don't see it? Well,
I can. It's maybe just me.
look more closely. Or also my hand's shaking. How about that?
There you go. I see it.
Okay, good. The cookie is always there. Don't worry.
Speaking of
So
cookies,
those are all of the diagnostics that you need to know. And yeah, you just need to memorize them.
That's what I said.
You're right. You normally are. So if you just have a sheet like this, or if you have one of those sheets that is in the email and you can just print a bunch of those out and write down all of the diagnostics side by side so that you can remember them, that would be a good option. And then you can decide if you would include the third hay or not on that.
Okay.
Okay? But you're not learning anything different about the Niphal, and you're not learning anything different about the verbs themselves. You're just learning different ways that the prefixes look because of things like gutturals and yods and noons. So as far as the grammar is concerned, you already know everything that you need to know. You just need to be able to remember your Cal diagnostics and your Niphal diagnostics, and now your Niphal week so that you can parse and answer questions. Like, what happens to Niphal 1 guts in the imperfect, imperative, and infinitive? What changes? If you're looking at your strong diagnostic for the imperfect for Niphal and the imperative and the infinitive construct, and then you're looking at your weak diagnostics for the one gutturals, what's different?
Do we have to express that verbally, or can we just draw them out?
You can draw it out.
Little progression arrows.
You can draw it out with progression arrows.
Okay.
But you do need to tell me right now.
The Hirak to the Sarai under the yod.
Mm-hmm. That is right. And what about the Niphal first yod verbs? What happens to them?
It goes to noon Holam Vav.
Right. You're either going to have the Holam Vav or you're going to have the Shurek instead of the yod, and the yod is going to drop out. And let's see what else. And do you know how you can translate the Niphal stem?
Passive.
Or reflexive.
Passive or reflexive?
But probably not reflexive.
More often passive than reflexive, but reflexive is an option. So if you had a passive translation of pray, how would you, no, not pray, listen, how would you do that? Or hear to make it passive?
Was heard.
He was heard.
What about reflexive?
He heard himself.
Mm-hmm. Then in the beginning of the chapter on Niphal, it also says that on Niphal strong, it also says that there can be a reciprocal meaning, which is kind of similar to reflexive, except it's just the plural option. So instead of they were heard, they heard one another.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's good. So then you just need to practice parsing. Do you want to practice, is there any of the parsing that you want to practice first? Like, do you want to do first noon and first yod, or do you want to do third hay, or do you just want to go through all of them?
No preference.
Okay. All right. Then you had 1 to 13 for 25A. Okay. And then translations. Okay. So how about number 1 on page 197? Do you guys all have your workbooks, or do I need to write it down?
I have the workbook.
Okay.
We all have our workbooks.
Good. So then, number 1 on page 197.
I see that.
Good. How would you parse it? What's the stem?
It's a Niphal.
Yeah.
And it looks like it is a perfect
Mm-hmm.
3MS
Yeah.
from Shema.
Right. That's right. What about number 2?
That's a Niphal imperfect 1CP. Same word.
You see that the only thing that changes, I mean, not the only thing, but the big thing that tells you the difference between the perfect and the imperfect for the Niphal is that dagesh?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good. What about number 3?
Why is it always this?
I think it's Niphal.
It's a perfect 3CP.
It is. Don't forget, I can't see you guys, so you have to stop me if you have questions.
I
Okay?
didn't.
You do?
I didn't forget.
Okay. Don't forget. What about number 4 then?
It's cow.
Why?
That's Nif.
4?
Yeah, it's Niphal.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I have it.
Gosh, it does look like cow.
Why would it be Niphal instead of Cal or Cal instead of Niphal? Which one is it?
Because of the Dagesh in the bait.
Mm-hmm.
If it were regular Cal, it would imperfect that Dagesh would not be there.
Right.
Cool.
So it's Niphal, then what?
Niphal imperfect. 2FS.
Yeah. What's the lexical form of that?
It looks like it's Bata.
Yep. And what about number 5?
That's imperative. I'm sorry, Niphal imperative.
Imperative. Cal, Niphal.
Niphal, 2FS.
Good.
Be nice if you could hear me.
You gotta turn on your microphone so people can hear you.
My kids, Sorry.
We can hear you now.
Yep, I can hear you guys.
How about number 6? Probably Niphal.
Niphal perfect 3CP.
From what?
What do you mean from what?
I mean, from what verb? What's the lexical form?
Oh. Power.
Yeah. And then, how about number 7? How do you guys feel about these? You want to keep going through these? Cool. Number 7.
Sorry. Niphal imperfect 2F. I'm sorry. Wrong one.
No, you were right.
I was about to say the wrong thing. Yeah. 3MP. No. I'm still wrong. What am I looking at?
Which one is it? It's Niphal imperfect what?
2MP.
Okay. And what about number 8?
It's a Niphal imperative, 2MS. I got this wrong initially, so I had like 3 guesses, but from Tessa.
Yeah. What threw you off about it?
Which one?
I don't know, between the Kamats and the Serai, hey, I don't know. I just, I had, what was it? I wasn't sure if it's a infinite absolute, because I'm like, one of these doesn't have the holum. I was just confused.
Yeah.
But I mean, I worked it out, but when I first did this, I didn't get it right.
Okay. So this one would probably be a good argument for learning the third Hay diagnostics because the initial diagnostic itself will clearly tell you it's either imperative or infinitive construct, but the rest of it is what would confuse you about which it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that paradigm, in case you want me to tell you again, is on page 300, and you can memorize those diagnostics too. What about number 9?
Well,
The same word as number 8. It just parses differently.
imperative 2MS or 2MP. Sorry.
It's okay.
Niphal imperative 2MP from Kasa.
Yep. So for Kasa, how do you write the lexical form?
Koth, Kamats, Samet, Kamats, Hey.
Okay. Don't forget to put the right vowels down for lexical forms because you can get points off for that. What about number 10? You have to turn the page. It's 198, number 10.
Niphal imperfect 3MP for Kissa.
Yep. What about number 11?
That's also a Niphal imperfect 2,3FP
Mm-hmm.
for Matzah.
Yep. What about 12?
The exact same thing.
It's an imperative 2FP.
Yep. And 13.
Sorry.
Okay.
Can y'all hush?
It's a Niphal imperfect 1CP. Or 1CS.
Yeah, 1CS.
Yeah. From Shema.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you want to do the parsing for the other half of it first, or do you want to do translations first?
Whatever you think will be best service for the quiz.
Perfect answer.
Okay. I think parsing. Okay. So then go to page 205 for the 25B parsing that you have to do. Okay. What is number 1?
Perfect. 1CP.
It's definitely Niphal perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, next.
I gotta write down all my stuff.
If all perfect, 1 CP from a var.
Right. How would you translate that?
Don't know what a bar is.
It would be we have been covered,
Right.
or yeah, we have been passed over, or yeah, because it's not
We
var,
but
var.
we were passed over.
Yeah, we were passed over. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
How about number 2?
That's in Niphal perfect, but I had it originally as a participle, 3FS.
Mm-hmm.
So an error there, but it's in Niphal perfect. 3FS.
Good. What about number 3?
It's a Niphal imperfect 3MS. No, hold on. It's not an imperfect. That's a Cal imperfect. Wait a minute. Maybe I'm not smart enough for this one.
I highly doubt that that's the case.
It doesn't look like Niphal because there's no compensatory lengthening.
It's in the fall.
The serrate underneath the tau.
Yeah, and you have the dogged.
I understand that, but why is there no compensatory lengthening?
Compensatory lengthening where?
I'm sorry, under the ion. Does that not happen unless there's an ending?
If you look at the one guttural diagnostics for imperfect, that comment stays the same.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just the huric that changes to a serre. So it's Niphal, imperfect. What? Person number?
Yeah, it's in the fall. 2MS? Oh, okay. I don't.
It can be 2MS, or what else can it be?
3FS.
2FS? That
2MS or 3FS.
okay. 2MS. 2MS. 3. What in the world?
What about number 4?
3. Okay.
It's in Niphal imperfect, 1 CP.
Yes. How about number 5?
If all imperative, QMS, or infinitive construct.
Yep. How do you feel about these ones?
Not too bad.
Anybody else?
A little difficult.
A little difficult. These would be ones because it's just minor changes with the dots and things like that it would be really helpful for you to have written down all of the weak diagnostics from your head and then try and do it. But practicing writing it from your head and then trying to do the workbook is going to be a lot more helpful than flipping through the book back and forth to try and find the answers. Do the diagnostics first and then use the book if you have to.
Okay.
Okay. All right. What about this?
Alyssa, make sounds.
I don't have any sounds to make.
Hum something.
I'm high. How about these ones? Can you parse the top one for me?
Red and white. Yes.
No, it's
Can you see it if I keep talking? Also, can you read that writing?
not a participle. Because the participle for guttural has a towel on it. It's a Niphal perfect, and it's what is that? 3FS
All perfect.
from Azov.
Does everybody agree with that? Can you even see what I wrote? Does that make sense?
Only if you say that's right.
Well, I'm asking, do you guys think it's right?
Yep.
I mean, it looks really right to me. Does it look right to you?
Is
Yep.
that supposed to be a reduced Segal? What do you call that?
Where?
Underneath the ion?
No.
No.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
popping it down. All right.
So that's right. What about for the one underneath it? The stem and the conjugation and the PGN and the lexical. It's really awkward to write.
That's
Can you see it?
yep.
Okay.
Wow.
Niphal perfect. Sharon's making sounds. I can't see it anymore. It's gone.
Okay. Niphal perfect.
Yep. I guess 3MS.
Yeah, from what? I mean, what's the lexical? Sorry.
I guess It's got to be, that's a first yod. So, Yalav.
Yeah. Like,
Oh, there's not the two dot thingies.
Yeah, that's still final call, right?
Is it a final cough or a, I can't really see it anymore. Gone.
oh, you can't see it also because it's not there. And no, it's not a final cough. It's
So
poor handwriting.
So it's Yalav.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
that. Can you see that?
That's
Right
what I
there.
say.
How's that working?
So Niphal Perfect 3MS from Yalad. Does that make sense?
Joseph wants to know how that's not a final cough.
It's not a final cough because my handwriting looks like this. If this, that would be a final cough.
Yeah, that would be final cough.
I would have little dots in there, so you wouldn't have to ask me that question.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But I don't have dots there, and it doesn't go down that far. It's just written like a true left-handed person.
That means you're a witch.
Obviously.
They burn those in Massachusetts.
They do, but I don't live in Salem. I live like 10 minutes away. I'll just steer clear.
They got horses. And buggies.
All right, now you have to parse something else for me. Ow. What about this one? First, can you tell what that is? Do I need to tell you what all the letters are first?
No.
Are you sure? Because I actually kind of confused myself.
Actually, kind of. What's that second consonant?
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's noon, and then another noon, and then a tau, and then a final noon.
No time.
It's Niphal, and
How can I make that easier to see?
it is a it has to.
Would it be Niphal imperfect? 1 CP?
It might be. Is it?
Yeah.
It is.
Yes.
It's Niphal imperfect. 1 CP from what?
No time.
How about
Wow, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it is.
what?
I said that's a tough one.
Why?
He's being sarcastic. The other ones were hard.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not.
You didn't sound like you were being sarcastic. Are you being sarcastic or not?
I mean, 90% of the time I am, but this time I'm not.
Okay, well, that's why I'm asking. Why was it tough?
Don't worry about it. I got it now.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. I don't like the not seeing faces, just so you guys know.
Yeah, but there's no more time loops.
Yeah.
So that was Nathan, that word?
Yeah.
So if the word begins with a noon, wouldn't it be assimilated in the Niphal noon?
Yeah, but Nathan does what it wants.
Does it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Niphal does do what it wants, but that's actually not what's happening right here.
Yeah, you've got the Niphal beginning, and you've got the performative for the imperfect that are both nuns.
So there's 3 noons.
Right.
Yeah.
So technically, this dagesh right here, that's the noon of Nathan. You just have
Niphal noon
noon.
and 1 CP noon.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
I forget what I was doing. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
This is getting crazy.
What's crazy?
All these news. I'm not gonna lie, I was confused on that first one with all the seagulls and the
The
that one.
first one that I wrote up here?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm sorry. You
That's
can,
okay.
but keep going. I'll just figure it out later.
Well, I'll probably come back to it.
That sounds like a plan.
All right.
Cause that.
And feel free to tell me as you're trying to figure it out that you're trying to figure it out. Just saying.
Where's that copy?
Okay. How about this one?
Talk, Alyssa, so we can see it.
Oh, you can't see it? There, can you see it now? Can you see all of the letters? And do you know what I was trying to write?
Yeah.
Are you sure? So while you're figuring out, I'm just going to read it to you so that it stays up here. It's Yod, Hirik, Shin, Shwa, Mem, Shwa, Ayin, Shurik. Parse it.
Yeah.
That's a perfect
Is it a?
3 MP.
A perfect?
Isn't
That's
it?
got to be a cal
I mean,
imperfect.
imperfect. A cal imperfect.
A
Yeah.
cal imperfect.
Yeah.
How do you know?
There's no Dublin. There's no Dagesh.
Right? There's no Dagesh.
And we remember our paradigm.
What?
Nothing.
Yes, you do know your paradigm. That's how you're able to parse anything.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Good job. And so there's no doubling dot right here, which is how you know it's one of the ways that you know it's not a Niphal. But what else would it need in order for it to be a Niphal?
We need a kamatz there.
Yeah, it would need to be this
Oh, right.
to be Niphal. But it's not. So you're right. It's cal imperfect. And then the rest of what you said.
Don't you start. Sorry.
What was that?
My dog.
Alright. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm going to put something together for you to translate. While I'm doing this, find anything, if you want to, in the parsing or the translating that you had questions on, and I'll do that after I do this, okay? And I'll try to write as clearly as possible. The pink is really helping, though.
All right, translation number 1 on page 200.
Okay. Okay. We'll do that after this. If there's any other ones that you guys need, just mark them too, and we'll do that as well.
I don't know what that word is.
The who or the he? The it?
Okay.
And then
Can you see that?
yeah.
It's a lot easier for me to be clear when I'm moving the board to write, so hopefully you can read all of it too.
Yeah.
Okay, so find the verb first. I want you to find the verb and help me parse it, and then translate the little section. Phrase thing. is the verb the first word or the second word or the third word?
The first word.
The first word.
The first word.
It's Niphal imperfect.
Niphal imperfect. Niphal imperfect. Person, gender, number, and lexical form.
Can you keep talking so I can see the board?
Yes, sorry. I have the Niphal and the imperfect, and now I need to know what the person, gender, number is and what the lexical form is.
Got to be 3FP.
Of Shamar.
3FP of Shamar.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So how would you translate it if that was all that you had?
If what was all we had, just the verb?
Just the verb. Just tell me how to just translate the verb right here.
They will be kept, or they will be observed.
Okay.
I concur.
Good. They will be kept. Okay, what's the next word?
Commandments.
Okay.
Yeah,
And it's plural, right?
Yes.
totally.
Good.
And the last word is the king.
Good. And so this is a noun and this is a noun. So what is that?
Construct change.
Oh, construction, yeah. Of the king.
So I need of right here. So how would you put all of that together in the simplest way possible?
The commandments of the king
The
will be
king
kept.
will be kept.
Right.
I would have probably made like the king the object or something.
No, it's only confusing if it's the same. The noun is the same piece. Remember.
Commandments of the king.
Construct change, right?
Well, then, with 2 nouns ago, they have to be, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So
Not
you
necessarily.
see that
BSO, right?
this is
Verb subject. Okay.
feminine plural because commandments is a feminine noun, right?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Is that one confusing at all? Was any part of it that you want to go over?
Yeah, Alyssa, just the fact that how do we know for sure that's a construct change and that the king is not, I guess because the verb's passive, there can't be an object?
Because if there were going to be 2 nouns side by side, but one was supposed to be the object, there would be a dom there. The fact that they're next to each other and nothing is separating them automatically makes it a construct chain.
Okay.
Okay? So we can do, let's see. So the translation number 1 on page 200 is what we'll do next. And I'm not going to write that one because it's long, so just use your books. But is there any other ones that you guys want to go through after this one?
Yeah, the second one on the quiz. How is that one? I'm having a hard time with it.
This. I'm sorry. I actually think that you'll be fine. Second one on the quiz. I have faith in you. So let's do this one first, and then if you think of any other ones, like the 4th one on the quiz, maybe we can go over that one.
I won't argue with that.
Okay.
Except I gotta go in 4 minutes.
All right. So you're looking at page 200, right? And number 1, and the first word there, they tell you what it is,
Yeah, not night.
right? In that night. So look at that. You're like a quarter of the way there already.
Mhm.
What comes next after in that night?
Heat.
That, if you look at the little thing down at the bottom, the number 1,
Oh,
that's the that part of in that night.
oh.
So that all goes together. So section it off and get it out of your way. So what's the next thing that you're looking at?
All right, I'm looking at the next word is the verb,
Mm-hmm.
and I have it as a Niphal perfect 3MS.
Okay, of what?
Ra'ah was, well, to see,
Mm-hmm.
and so I translate it was seen, or he was seen.
Right.
God.
Whatever. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what's the next word?
God.
Yeah.
The next one is to Solomon. The prefix is a prepositional prefix against with Solomon's name. I think that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Here's Solomon.
To Solomon, and then
And then you have another verb.
right with a imperfect vav consecutive,
Right.
and it's translated with Amar and said, like and he said.
Right. And he said. And that, just so you know, Vayamar is all over
Yeah.
Old Testament narrative. It's the easiest thing to translate because it's and he said all the time. Okay?
Then it's no or not.
Uh-huh. It's a negation.
Yeah, it's a negation, and then it's ask, sha'al,
Mm-hmm.
then what, ma. It's the last bit that confuses me because I'm looking at you for you, U2FP. I don't know. That's throwing me off. The end of the sentence is throwing me off.
You're talking about the inseparable preposition with a pronominal suffix, right?
Yeah, I didn't look at that as a pronominal suffix because of the dash between them. I thought those were two words.
They are two words, but what I'm saying is it's the inseparable preposition la with a pronominal suffix.
Oh, right, exactly, like for you, to you, something like that, right.
Mm-hmm.
So with the attend, leg, I'm looking at you, to you or for you. So I'm just kind of confused by that construction. That's where I'm thrown off in this sentence.
Okay.
Is a 10 a verb? Is it a?
It's like a pronoun or or one of the, I thought a relative pronoun or whatever. I thought it was just meant you, plural. But I could be wrong. That's what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm. Could it be
It looks to me like it might be a Niphal imperfect from Nathan, 1CS.
Yeah.
it could be that.
Don does what it wants.
Oh my gosh.
It
Oh
does.
my gosh. So say that again, Joseph. It's in the fall. One
Hold on. It may not be actually.
one CS4 to give for Nathan.
Look at that one though.
I'm all messed up on that one right there.
I think I'm wrong.
You said you thought it was a Niphal imperfect, right?
Yeah, I lied.
You lied about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, is that a construct, infinitive construct, to give to you, then it's, whatever.
Could it be a cow imperfect?
Yes.
But there's too many seagulls for me to figure that that's what that is.
There's too many seagulls for you? Is that
Yeah.
what you said?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
That's what threw me off with that word.
Okay.
Oh, it's not an infinitive construct, right? And it's not an imperative, so.
Was it pronominal?
Pronominal suffix on what?
Well, I mean, you know how in the front how we can do the prefixes, and I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out. Never mind.
Are you asking if that's a pronominal suffix on?
It's not.
Right. It's not. But were you asking if it was one on the preposition s?
Yes.
It kind of looks like that.
Yeah. With them or with.
Right. It looks like that, but the way that you know
The
that it's
seggles,
not is the seggles.
Yeah.
And what do they tell me? What is that exactly? What's going on?
Well, the seggles are just, they're not, I'm not telling you what it's telling you it is, I'm telling you what it's telling you it's not.
Mm-hmm.
The seggles there mean that it can't be the preposition with, because the preposition with has to have the hurech underneath the aleph. And it can't be the definite direct object marker because that has to have the holem after the aleph. So that's how you know it's not either one of those.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
So your option then would have to be I think it would have to be the cal imperfect of Nathan.
I looked at the first nun in the Cal Imperfects, and it doesn't look like that, but
Right.
but that doesn't mean anything in our world.
I think it actually does mean something.
Because on page 185.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at that too. And it normally has either the holem or it has the pathak.
Right, right.
Even when it's doubly weak.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, I got an idea.
What?
Is it possible? Um, Nope. Again, shut down.
Shut down. It is the Cal imperfect.
Okay. 1 CS. So it's I give.
Hmm.
Right.
But
I will give or something.
we're just supposed to know that.
You are supposed to go through. I feel like this is not going to be a satisfying response, but it's the one that I have. You're supposed to go through the process of elimination that I gave you. It can't be the thing that it looks like it could be is F with a pronominal suffix, and it can't be with a pronominal suffix because it has to have a, and it can't be a definite direct object marker with a pronominal suffix because it would have to have a holum. And so the next thing that you know that it could be that would have an ending like that would be a verb, and Nathan likes to just, do its thing, and it's an imperfect because of the aleph there.
Right. Okay. I thought it was a personal pronoun or something. That's what I meant to say. But okay.
Yeah. The other thing is, let's see.
And the fact that it's right there next to, I don't know. I just wouldn't have guessed that as a verb, a verbal structure. I thought that was a personal
Because
pronoun.
when we were translating the sentence, because of context, my first thought was a verb because it's the only thing that makes sense right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's right. Yeah.
But when it didn't fit anything, I started trying to think of other things.
Yeah.
But I mean, it makes sense to be a verb, but I couldn't make it fit any of the things I saw.
Yeah, me either. I didn't know. I'm like, I'm missing something. Okay. Well, that helps me. That's why I got stuck in that sentence.
Okay, so that sentence is, in that night, God was shown to God, and he said to him, ask what I shall give to thee, or to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I think that the hardest thing about moving on with the derived stems is not just the fact that you have to memorize all of these different diagnostics, but you have to remember that you also know other stems now. So your options can be Niphal or they can be Cal. And you have to keep all of those in your head. Okay.
When does Hebrew start getting easier? Because there was that rumor that Hebrew 2 is going to be easier.
Well, it's really just all in how you look at it. You have less vocab now.
Mm-hmm.
And you're translating a lot more.
I just think we were lied to.
Well, I don't know about lied to.
Yeah, no.
Perhaps
Yeah.
given, I don't know, maybe a slight over-exaggeration in order to encourage.
I'm talking to other students who are like, oh, yeah, Hebrew 2 is so much easier. I'm like, no, it's not.
I think it's easier in that you are learning a lot less vocab every week. And you're building a lot on what you've already learned. So you're getting a lot of reinforcement with things like participles and infinitive constructs and infinitive absolutes because their function doesn't really change all that much from each stem. You're just learning now the way that they look different so that you can tell what stem you're dealing with. I don't think that answer helps.
No.
But it's true.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions, you guys, or anything else that you're worried or concerned about? I don't have class tonight, so if you want to stay a little bit longer, you're welcome to. If you have to leave at 6:30, that's fine too. Or if you want me to give you more examples, I can also do that. This is a question that requires an answer, though.
Melissa, I'm sorry. We are gonna have. I'm gonna have to leave, so I gotta go. So we're gonna sign off.
Okay. Bye, guys.
All right. See you.
And I'm going to do the same with this. I'm just going to work on these paradigms and fill in that sheet.
Okay.
I just like that format better. It's the way we learned instead of the horizontal way that the book or sheet passed out.
It makes it confusing. It's a lot easier to stay in one format and to just keep going with it.
As long as she's not asking us to fill out anything in that other format, I'm great with that. But
like the last test?
Yeah, I was great with that, but the format was going down, it was vertical,
right.
and that's how we've been doing these, and then suddenly this week everything is horizontal, and by the way, I'm going to put my camera on now that we don't have the guys.
Thank you.
So yay! So now that we have more stuff, I can't be introduced to a new visual.
Right.
To kind of process the different. I got to do it the same way I did.
Yeah, I would try and keep it as consistent as you possibly can. So doing it in the horizontal way and writing them all out the way that we did earlier, and just kind of practicing doing that over and over again. That's the best way to do it. Don't try and change things up and do anything like that, because that's just going to confuse you unnecessarily.
Yeah. It does. When I look at that, that doesn't really help me. I'm like, I don't understand what I'm looking at. So, I do have a question. Why isn't in a Niphal first nun, where that has, where the nun assimilates,
right?
And the dagesh is placed in the second letter in the perfect and participle.
Mm-hmm.
How come that's not part of the diagnostics? Because that's not the highlighted diagnostic. But that to me is diagnostic of what happens to those verbs. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like Natsal, and then it's... And so
I would honestly, I would put it in there.
Okay.
Because that is how you remember what the diagnostic is, and that makes a big difference. The noon assimilates and becomes a little doggish. That's what the assimilation is. So whenever I did it, I kept it in there.
Good. Okay, because that's what I'm going to do, even though it wasn't highlighted. I'm like, that's an important visual for me, so I need to remember.
Right.
Okay. All right, well, that's it for me. I love you guys. Sharon, I'm going to see you Wednesday as usual.
Yes.
Our usual place, usual spot.
Yep.
And I'll let you go, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay, bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Sharon, how are you feeling?
I'm gonna need to go back and reread, and I'm trying to see what I'm missing. I'm missing something here.
In this chapter or in the last chapter?
The last chapter I actually was kind of comfortable with, but this chapter I didn't finish my homework before this because I'm trying to do that now, and so I can have a better understanding. But the series and the segals are beating me up, so I'm gonna have to go back and regroup.
Okay. I sent an email today that had what?
I wasn't able to check it. I was driving.
It's okay. I just would let you know there's a form in there that you could print out, and it has basically something like this, just with a whole bunch of squares, and you can practice writing it out for all of the weak forms and the strong form.
Okay.
And that's what I would recommend doing at this point, because you're not necessarily going to understand why there's a segel or a serre there. You just need to know where it goes. And so just practice writing it over and over and over again.
Okay. I will do. I'm about to forward it to myself, to my other account, so I can print.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird.
I
All
understand.
right, cool beans. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good night.
Thanks. You
Enjoy
too.
that cold
Feel free
snoo.
to, I know, it's so cold. Text or call or whatever.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.